in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Reckless speculation. Trade talk. Juicy rumors.
Well, hello there, Minnesota sports-loving friends. This is Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment, and this is Reckless Speculation Thursday.
Reckless speculation.
And that means we bring our friend in from the 5 Eyewitness News sports department. His name is Darren Doogie Wolfson. He brings inside information about your favorite Minnesota sports teams. You can also find his weekly Scoop podcast, The Scoop with Doogie, on ScoreNorth.com, the Score North app. Doogie, let's start with Timberwolves. A, how are you doing? And B, tell us everything you know about the Minnesota Timberwolves here. Now that we're sort of in this weird dead period. Ben Simmons is still out there. We're wondering if they're still being persistent, but welcome into Reckless Speculation Thursday.
Good morning, Phil. I'm doing okay outside of Mrs. W going all in on being upset with me. So this morning at the house, we have a guy getting some work finished up in our bathroom, but it wasn't coordinated. It's like we talk about this all the time here in the Hubbard Broadcasting Building. We're in the communications business, and oftentimes we do a miserable job communicating. Well, the missus and I didn't do a real good job communicating this morning. Oh. She didn't tell me what time the guy was coming. So, are you sitting
are you sitting on the throne and this guy's barging in?
I was sitting on the throne. No, he didn't barge in. But
he knocked politely on your bathroom.
I like to read on my phone the New York Post. I go through the Athletic. I'm on the throne for a little while in the morning.
Bobby would not be happy with
right now. Then the door knocks. The guy is there, and it's like... And because he's doing all this work in the bathroom, we don't have anything in there. So there's no spray, there's nothing. So I quickly open up the window. Dude. It was very awkward. So
you're like, I'm envisioning like this Jeff Daniels Dumb and Dumber scene.
It was a very, very bizarre beginning to my day. But now that I'm with you guys, I'm in a much better mood.
It's a guy who deals in bathrooms. He's used to smells, okay? I wouldn't worry
Probably,
about
but it was, I'm telling you, incredibly awkward.
All right, Timberwolves, what's going on?
Yeah, so Timberwolves. So the sense is they are willing, probably no surprise, they're willing to wait out on the Ben Simmons front. That it's not just the Wolves, that some other league people feel like that there's an inevitability here. That Judd, I told you that I actually thought Ben Simmons was going to get traded on draft night, right around, that late July, early August start of free agency, that I thought by now, like if you had asked me a month ago, hey, we're sitting here on August 26th, I would have told you Ben Simmons is an ex-Sixer. Clearly, he is not, but there is a belief, Wolves, other teams, that Daryl Morey is going to have to move Ben, that he can't go back to that market after the way that Atlanta series went. Now, Daryl always asks for the moon. He's continuing to ask for the moon. But the Wolves are willing to wait this thing out. Yeah, it's still a long shot. Let me remind everybody, most trades talked about in this league just never happen. But the idea that the Wolves still want Ben Simmons badly is a thing. That dialogue is ongoing. I'm not quite sure I would paint it the way that Woj and some others have painted it, that the Wolves are being persistent just from the standpoint of Morey knows where Rosas stands. I mean, they talk, relatively often, but it's not like they're talking Ben Simmons on a daily basis because Morey knows how badly Rosas wants Simmons. So there is some talk of trying to involve a third team, but now we're to the point of the offseason where a lot of teams, a lot of front offices are mixing in some vacation. They'll get back going after Labor Day, so it's a little bit of a slow period. Not necessarily on the Wolves front, like Patrick Beverley was in town yesterday for his physical. The trade was officially announced. Beverly's agent was in town. Beverly's agent also represents restricted free agent Jared Vanderbilt. So those talks are ongoing. So the Wolves right now are still in the office working pretty hard. Some of the front office guys may escape here next week for a little bit through the holiday weekend, but the Wolves are still working pretty hard. But I know that some other teams are on vacation right now through Labor Day. So trying to involve that third team might take a little bit more time. And again, like I stress this a ton, Phil, it is an incredible long shot. But just make no mistake about this. The Wolves are still trying very, very hard to acquire Ben Simmons.
That's interesting. I would love to know, there seems to be such a gap between what Daryl Morey thinks they can get, right? All these reports about 3 or 4 future first-round picks and an established superstar player. It's like, well, everyone saw Ben Simmons in the fourth quarter of playoff games. I don't think anyone's dying to give up 4 future first-round picks and like Bradley Beal. So I think my question is, what do you think the price tag is? And if Philadelphia doesn't get the price that they want, what is their appetite for carrying Ben Simmons into the regular? A guy who, by the way, hasn't responded to phone calls and texts reportedly. They can't get a hold of Ben Simmons because he's just like, double birds, I'm out. Screw you guys. The Timberwolves brought Jimmy Butler into the season a few years ago, and that was a train wreck. But they did. They brought him into the season. I think everyone expected him to not start the season with the Wolves, so it does happen. But what's your sense about the price and the appetite for the Sixers to say, no, we're not just going to trade him for 50 cents on the dollar. He's going to play the first game in a Sixers uniform.
I think that would be a really, really slippery slope. Now, maybe he does start the year. You're right. I mean, I buy that steam, that there's been a lack of communication, that Ben really doesn't want anything to do with the Sixers this offseason.
By the way, real quick, there's video. Yeah. I think it's Ben Simmons in his camp putting out video. There's like NBA pickup games happening this offseason, and he's just like bombing jumpers from 3. And now he might have taken 100, clanked 98, and the 2 swishes got put on his Instagram account. But there's definitely jockeying for position here with all camps, trying to frame this. Hey, look at Ben. He's a 3-point shooter now.
Well, and there's a lot of guys out in L.A. Heck, his Sixers teammate, Tyrese Maxey, they share representation. So I know he's been playing some pickup with Maxey, some others. So, yeah, I mean, those games happen all the time. I mean, Cat's out there. I don't know if Cat's playing in those specific games, but it's a specific trainer that trains a lot of guys that he runs an open gym out there in LA. I've seen the same video clips. They're out there. If you do a Twitter search, Instagram search of Ben Simmons, you can find those video clips. Like, never say never, Phil. I suppose it's possible, but I know whether it's Doc, whether it's Dave Yeager, Minnesota native, on that Philadelphia staff,
Yeager bombs.
Yeah, it would be really, really odd if Ben is there. I think there would be a lot of friction. Philadelphia has all sorts of aspirations this year. They still feel like they're a top 3, top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, that it can be a special year with or without Ben. Daryl's not getting the Drew Holiday package. He's just not. But I think that Drew Holiday package, what Milwaukee gave up for Drew, I think that reset some of these superstar trade talks to some extent. I mean, that was a really healthy package that Milwaukee gave up. Now, it worked out brilliantly for Milwaukee, clearly. Daryl's not getting 3 or 4 first-round picks, even with the 4 years remaining on Ben Simmons' contract, right? Like, it's not happening. So at some point, he's going to have to come off that cliff. The question is, because I still don't have a sense that Daryl has interest in Malik Beasley. I do think he is a fan of Patrick Beverley, but you have to wait a little while anyway to aggregate him in a trade. You have to wait a couple months. And really, I mean, it's not like Patrick Beverley is going to be the centerpiece of any Ben Simmons trade. He would even out the money. But until I hear that he likes Beasley, some of the other pieces the Wolves are willing to move, that's where I keep thinking it's still a long shot. But they're trying. I mean, I guess credit the Wolves for at least doing as much as they can to make this happen.
I think the difference is, and what they're going to have to come to the conclusion of is, Jimmy Butler got booed here when he was trying to actively get out and the Wolves balked. I'm sure James Harden got booed in Houston. Ben Simmons will get lit up in that market. Philadelphia will light him up. I mean, there's situations that are tenable and you try and live through them to get the best package available. There are situations that are untenable. And if Morey doesn't realize it now, he will. If Ben Simmons comes out opening night and does not shoot well, which my guess is psychologically he probably would not, it would get ugly. And so the difference there, and where Gerson's probably smart, is just hanging back, waiting and seeing. And if nobody trumps his package, heck, with draft picks too, it might just be you're going to have to take the best opportunity that you can get, because playing him in home games in Philadelphia would be a big chance to take. I mean, you could ruin him completely fairly quickly, is my guess.
Those Philly fans would eat him alive.
I mean, unless you've been there and seen games there, you don't understand what they can do. I mean, they're not they don't sort of not like you. They don't sort of, we're provincial, right? You don't like Minnesota. Jimmy Butler, why wouldn't you like Minnesota? Boo. It gets personal there. It gets ugly there. It goes off the court there. I mean, there's enough that you would say this is not worth trying to orchestrate some huge trade when we can get a decent package back for him.
And that's exactly the thought process of multiple teams. It's also advantageous that the Wolves are in the Western Conference, that the Wolves, some other teams in the West, feel like that Morey isn't going to move Ben Simmons to a team in his conference. But there's also a thought that Philadelphia still feels like that Damian Lillard is attainable. Now, Damian was on some podcast earlier this week or some video stream once again saying he's not to the point of asking out, but he used the word yet. Not yet.
Dude, he's like
a lot of people think it's going to happen. Well, a lot of people think, Phil, it's going to happen next summer. That after this upcoming season that Lillard is going to ask out, that Portland will eventually move him. So that maybe is one hurdle. Does Philadelphia hold out thinking that they can use Ben plus more? I mean, probably Mackey, maybe Thibault. I mean, Philadelphia would have to add to Ben, maybe even a future first, multiple future first. But could they entice Portland with a package like that they need Ben for a pathway to acquire Lillard? But I'm with you, Judd. Like, it's vitriol. It's a different animal there in Philly. It really is. And so I'm just telling you, like, I know the Wolves internally have talked about this. Other teams have as well, that because of that, because of what you laid out, it just doesn't seem realistic that Ben can start the year in Philadelphia.
They literally, they won a Super Bowl, and 15 minutes later, everyone was so mad at the coach and both quarterbacks. Like, they just drove everybody out of town within 15 minutes. By the way, these reckless speculation discussions presented today by Federated Mutual Insurance Company. If you are a business owner out there, and it's been just a tumultuous couple of years, if you're looking for updated risk management tools, if you're looking for the best resources and people in the insurance industry, Federated provides that. They're also supporters of Timberwolves and Lynx basketball. So check them out, federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours.
Reckless speculation.
All right, what else? Patrick Beverley. We'll talk probably more about this tomorrow, just on between Judd, Declan, and I. But Patrick Beverley's been all over Twitter. He's kind of all in on this thing. He is very much excited to be at Timberwolves. Ironically, he's wearing Andrew Wiggins' old number, and he might be the polar opposite player and personality of Andrew Wiggins. But what are you hearing?
I mean, personality-wise, he's the complete opposite.
For sure. So what are you hearing about Beverly's arrival and any other Wolves nuggets in your bag?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I tweeted when the news broke, 9-10 days ago, that he's legitimately excited about this. I had a lengthy chat with his Chicago-based trainer, Jeff Pagliacca, who's worked with Beverly for 9 years, so knows him incredibly well. He's had a number of conversations with Patrick the last week or so. He conveyed that Patrick is very happy with this move. That Rosas is one of his guys. That going way back. I mean, Beverly's journey is fascinating. 3 teams overseas, was in camp with the Miami Heat at one point years ago, got cut. Like, for him to get to this point, signing a 3-year, $40-something million contract, that life-changing money, like, it's one heck of a story. And Rosas helped discover him. It was Rosas, Morey, some other people with the Rockets years ago, but I think there's this sense that Beverly is almost, I don't want to say forever, but indebted in so many ways for so long to Gerson for helping make his NBA dream a reality. So yeah, Patrick is pumped up. Now, he's made the playoffs every year of his career. A lot of that is because of the surrounding cast. Yeah, he's had L.A., Houston.
He's not just along for the ride. I mean, he's a role player, but I think he has some influence there.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, he's still going to play heavy minutes. He's still going to play some crunch time minutes because of his defense. So, yeah, he had something to do with that. So, he wants to win. So, depending on where the Wolves are in the standings on, February 24th, it could be a different discussion. But, yeah, as we sit here right now, I can just tell you, and I'm sure, he'll say this whenever, he ends up meeting with us, whether it's via Zoom or an in-person news conference, that he's legitimately pumped. He's been a part of the team group chats. He's connected with every team leader. He's connected with Kat. He's connected with Ant. He's connected with D'Lo. And so, yeah, he's pumped up. He really is. Yeah.
So,
and it's a trade. I'll go back. It's a trade I would have made. That Jarrett Culver, Juancho Hernan-Gomez just didn't have a future here. That you could argue that going back to the first move they made, Taurean Prince for Rubio, and Taurean Prince is in town right now, getting some work in. He's been a part of these group chats. You can make a case that, especially the way Ricky looked in Tokyo, that you'd rather just have Ricky. Like if you could have Ricky or Beverly, that you'd rather have Ricky. I can understand that, but this one singular move, Beverly for Culver and Hernan-Gomez, that is absolutely a trade. If I were Gerson, that I would have made.
Yeah, Judley.
So Dukes, on to Vikings. The final cuts are going to be made from 80 to 53 next Tuesday by 3 p.m. I've got 3 position groups here where I think they're going to explore the waiver wire. I think they're going to explore available veterans. And I think that the 53 that we see at approximately 3:01 p.m. on August 31st is not going to be close to what the final roster is. My 3 position groups, my 3 position groups are offensive line, where I think they would probably like to get some veteran help, depth help, linebacker, and safety. Your thoughts?
Well, and maybe backup quarterback. I wouldn't necessarily dismiss.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they
that idea.
I wouldn't actually be surprised if they made a trade there.
Well, I instantly thought, whether it's Rippon or Drew Lock, with Rick and George's relationship, George Payton, the new Broncos general manager.
I think Drew Lock might be expensive.
Sign me up.
Is there a match there?
Dude, there are so many Drew Lock red flags at this point. Like the fact that dude just got
There's
beat by
Teddy red flags, Phil. I wish you could have been there in Egan
that's
a couple
even, that's
Thursdays
even more
ago.
of a Drew Lock red flag.
That's his point.
Yeah, probably.
Drew Lock's arm is good.
I would take Drew Lock as a backup.
Yes.
If he's my number 2, that's fine. Yeah, if you're going all in on Drew Lock as your guy, yeah, you're probably limited ceiling wise. But I would take Drew Lock as my number 2, depending on the price. And heck, Rippon looked good. A very small sample size, but in the 2 days in Egan, I thought Rippon threw the ball pretty well. So Denver might feel like, hey, with Teddy, with Rippon, if we can get a middle round draft pick for Drew Lock, let's do that. That's me more, recklessly speculating. I'm just saying that's something that hit me when we heard the news on Wednesday about Teddy winning that job. But yeah, Judd, it's all those positions. On the safety front, they've already reached out on Will Parks. So the Chiefs just let him go the other day. The Vikings tried to get him March of 2020, March of this year on a veteran minimum deal. And it doesn't sound like they're going to sign him right now. Like Will Parks is one of those guys where they would wait until after week 1 because he's a vested veteran that they don't want to guarantee his contract. But that is a name to keep an eye on. Heck, the Packers just let go former Burnsville High School star, former Gopher star Kamal Martin. There's a lot of injury history there with Kamal, but I do know pre-draft a year ago, the Vikings liked him a decent amount. So I'll be curious to see later today. Now, if I'm the Jets or the Jaguars, I would probably put the waiver claim in. Like, why not? I think there's enough there with Kamal where I would take the chance even with the medical red flags. But, like, if he gets to the Vikings, waiver claim-wise, that's something to keep an eye on later today. Offensive line-wise, they had Roderick Johnson, the former Houston Texan, in for a workout on Wednesday. He has started games for the Texans. Now he wouldn't come in and usurp, Rashad Hill as the starting left tackle, but he could be a better option as the backup left tackle compared to what they have right now. So we'll wait and see if they end up making him a contract offer. They are below the 80 limit right now. So if they wanted to sign Johnson today, they could. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye on. But yeah, it's all those positions you named, Judd, 100%.
Did you already mention Barr? Did we talk about?
No,
Barr?
well, we talked about him the other day. I mean, and I had mentioned before Zim finally went on the record with it that it's not related. This injury, it's not related to the pectoral surgery he had 11 months ago. I'm led to believe it's a lower body injury. He hasn't practiced in full since August 5th, so there's definite cause for concern. Adam Zimmer went on the record earlier this week saying we don't know if we'll have him for week 1. So he opened up Pandora's box ever so slightly, saying that. I will say this, like Barr knows that defense, him, Kendricks, Harrison Smith, as well as anyone. It's not like he needs preseason reps. But yeah, when you haven't done literally anything, he actually did some individual drills like August 9th, but really you haven't done much over the course of the last 3 weeks. If you're a Vikings fan, yeah, like be concerned. It's a distinct possibility that whether he's limited or just it doesn't happen where he doesn't play, that we may not see Anthony Barr early in the season.
Yeah. Hey, before we say goodbye,
also
here,
one other, by the way, the Iowa State rookie running back that's been out. Judd, remind me, I think it's a knee injury, left knee injury. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he starts the year on injured reserve, but we'll find out early next week definitively. Alexander Madison is okay. He got hurt on the second catch last weekend in the Colts game. He won't play tomorrow, but I'm told Madison will be fine for week 1.
We're 1 week away from Gopher football, Ohio State next Thursday. Any sense at all about how good or not the Gopher football team is going to be this year? I know they're 41st, I believe, in the ESPN.com FPI preseason rankings. So not terrible, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think a lot of people are underselling how good they will be. Like I saw some of the betting odds, with Wisconsin and Iowa to win the West. Northwestern is sort of up there. And like the Gophers are almost paired with Nebraska. And I'm like, what? With all those guys coming back, a lot of guys from that 2019 team that only had the 2 losses, that won the New Year's Day game against Auburn, like that entire offensive line is back. Now, I do think this team goes only as far as Tanner Morgan, passing-wise can take them, even though they are going to rely heavily on the run, that they should have one of the best, if not the best, running game in the Big Ten. Defensively, they had a lot of issues last year, but they brought in a lot of new guys. I mean, they brought in Pinckney, the transfer from Clemson, defensive tackle. I mean, he won multiple, big-time games as a Clemson Tiger. He's played a lot of football for Dabo Swinney. He's going to play a lot of snaps for PJ Fleck. They brought in the Martin kid, the defensive line transfer from North Carolina State that's played a lot of games in the ACC. They added some new guys at the linebacker position. Coney Durr is back for like his 9th year at cornerback. There's some question marks about that second cornerback. They will be tested. I mean, Fleck went on the record earlier this week suggesting, I think there was some hyperbole here, but the Ohio State wide receiver group is legitimately great, but he said it's the best that he's ever seen, or at least he's ever prepared for, game-wise. So those Buckeyes receivers are going to test the Gophers next Thursday on campus. I would take the 14 points, though. I think it'll be a competitive game. I haven't done a whole lot of research on the Buckeyes.
Let's get that cover, baby. Just get that cover. Just within 2 touchdowns.
First-year quarterback.
They should be pretty good, though.
You got to cut
They
the
should.
head off first, right, Doogie?
I mean, they do also play Indiana, so the crossover games, don't do them a favor when you're playing Indiana and Ohio State. But, yeah, I think they're going to exceed a lot of the national expectations, where a lot of the national expectations are, Pinstripe Bowl in New York, December 29th, maybe win 7 games, maybe 8. I think they have a chance to get to 9 wins for sure.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Ohio State, I get. Indiana, if you can't beat, and I know that they're really improved, and that's great, but if Indiana's a problem, you got a problem. The Indiana game, I look at that and say, that's a pretty, if I have to take like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio State, I'm taking the Hoosiers. Like, I'll play them. Bring them on.
Look at Indiana last year, Judd.
I know they're good.
Built a thing
but
down
I'm
there.
saying, look at the Gophers. Row the boat 2019.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, I would rather play Michigan State as a crossover. I would, right?
Give me Ohio State 10
and
times.
And they'll get them next year. They got Maryland, too, as a crossover, right?
I love you.
Heck, I think I'd rather.
You're part of the problem. When
This might be a completely asinine statement. I think I might rather play Michigan this year than Indiana as a crossover game after Michigan beat the Gophers by, 25 last year.
I love it. Judd, you got to keep up on college football, man.
Yeah,
Indiana's a powerhouse. I don't know what you're
Let me throw in a Gopher basketball note.
Easy.
They have an Osseo kid wrapping up an official visit today. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up with Ola Joseph. I don't know if he commits today, maybe waits a little bit, but I would not be shocked if he's added to Pharrell Payne of Park at Cottage Grove, who committed the other day. I was actually with Pharrell yesterday. Really, really good young man. He was really, really impressive when I talked to him for about 10 minutes on Wednesday. Then Braden Carrington of Park Center High School committed earlier this month. So it's been a nice little run on the recruiting front for Ben Johnson and Dave Thorson.
There it is. Darren Doogie Wolfson.
Reckless speculation.
Couple
Inside
more notes.
information.
So with school starting for a lot of kids, like Monday, right? You're going to see now, we've seen maybe some interesting football notes with, the fall sports ramping up high school-wise, but you're going to see some basketball transfers here pretty quick. There's a really good kid from down south here in Minnesota that's transferring to a school here in the metro area, and I know my guys at Hopkins are picking up a pretty good player. So we'll have some official news on that front here in the coming days.
Awesome. Find his weekly podcast, The Scoop with Doogie, ScoreNorth.com, the Score North app, and also 5 Eyewitness News. You can see Doogie's
Absolutely.
regular.
And Judd, how about this? You'll love this, Judd. So later today, I'm bonding with Adam Oates.
Oh.
He's in town working with some NHL guys, working with some Gopher guys at a rink in the West Metro. So I'll be bonding with Adam Oates and some NHL guys today.
I'm sure you might see Zach and Ryan somewhere nearby.
I would not be shocked.
Asking
Yeah, for sure,
play
Zach.
pick.
Yep.
I'm sure talking very respectfully about the Wild ownership and front office. Yes.
Yeah, no, those will be fun off-camera interviews, trust
And
me.
Mike
Or
Yossi,
conversations.
they all loved Yossi. That's all I know.
Absolutely. All right, see you, boys.
See you, Doogs. All right.
Reckless speculation.
All right.